Hello, I'm Tim Hain, and I'm an assistant professor in biology at the University of Western Ontario. My research interest is in fish behavior. I put together this short video to show you a little bit of what life is like for fish underneath the water surface. So when I was fishing as a young kid back many years ago, I used to think that being caught at the end of a line was the most interesting thing that could happen in a fish's day. But it turns out, now that I've seen fish underneath the water, snorkeling, fish have actually some really interesting, complex, and beautiful behaviors. And the more that you know about a fish's behavior, the better you can be at appreciating them and maybe catching them yourself. So fish have some really interesting behaviors that I'll show you here. The first clip is of a bluegill sunfish colony. And bluegill are a pretty common species in the eastern part of North America. When they come to the breeding season, these bluegill sunfish males will build nests in colonies, and these colonies have these nests almost rim to rim. There might be as few as 10 nests or as many as 100 nests in a colony around the lakes of eastern Ontario. So when I find these fish and I can interact with them, it's kind of like interacting with an alien species. They're in an entirely different environment from my own, and it's kind of special to interact with species that are part of an entirely different world, really. It might be the closest we ever get to interacting with an alien. So taking a look at some of these videos, and I hope it gives you an extra appreciation for the behaviors of some fishes. Now in this next video, you're going to see a big colony of bluegill sunfish. It's the same colony that you saw in the previous video, but this time you'll see some little tablets next to each nest that indicate who each of those males were. It allows us as scientists to track them. So you're going to see some males spawning with females. The females are dipping on her side to release some eggs. And if the quality of video is good enough on your screen, you might even see some little gray dots, which are the eggs that the females have laid. There can be tens of thousands of eggs in the nest, so keep an eye out for that. In this next video, you're going to see a male pumpkinseed sunfish who's built a nest, and he's now spawning with a female. You'll see the female dipping on her side as she releases some eggs. One thing you should notice is that, unlike the bluegill sunfish that you just saw, these pumpkinseed tend to nest alone, and so they don't have the protection that having a whole bunch of dads can offer if any predator comes along. In this last video, you're going to see a big ball of larvae, some young babies from a fish, And towards the end, you'll see the father come in. It's a largemouth bass, and he spends a couple of weeks protecting the larvae when they're the most vulnerable. That particular picture was taken towards the middle of June, just before the largemouth season for fishing opens up. So the next time you go fishing for largemouth bass, think about the state of their babies and think about whether it's correct to keep that fish or not. So in the last few clips, you've seen some spawning bluegill sunfish, you've seen pumpkinseed sunfish, and you've seen largemouth bass. And you can see all of these species in southern Ontario and a large part of eastern North America. So the next time you catch a fish, I hope you can sort of imagine some of the complexity of their lives underneath the water. So enjoy!